fantastic car, man. Sergio had bought that Alfa locally, and I think he spent under $10,000. If you book a ticket in advance from New York to San Salvador, you get a round trip ticket for $400. That's cheaper than going to California. You can go down to El Salvador and probably rent a track car and get a couple of mechanics. You can call up Julio if you don't know him, have him meet you here. Get a hotel, the Sheraton El Presidente, for hundreds of bucks a night, for probably $2,000. You can have a racing vacation in El Salvador. Mind you, not as many corner workers as you would find at an American track, but with virtually 10 times more track time, freedom, fun, and social interaction with other car lovers than you would have anywhere in the U.S. Anywhere. Awesome. Awesome. And what a great track. Really? I totally get it. I was exhausted, sunburned, ready to go back to New York. But Julio had one more thing waiting for us. Just past the pharmacy where I got my Pepto-Bismol refilled, a car meet in a parking lot by a shopping center. Unlike any car meet I've been to in the U.S. It seems like exaggeration, but I'd never been to a car meet in the U.S. at night with a bunch of young guys in cars, tricked out cars, unless there was a police officer nearby, two competitive groups separated by brand, people showing off a little too much, and a little bit of an air of maybe someone might have a beef with someone tonight. But this is El Salvador. We're here with Jaime Villanova, host formerly of Rev TV, El Salvador's, at one point, best car show, good friend of Julio from Speed Magazine, who's now going to give us a tour of what car culture really is all about here in San Salvador. Jaime.
Hi.
Thanks for having us.
No, it's a pleasure.
No, it's a pleasure for me.
Yeah.
This is what I imagined when I first saw Fast and Furious. This is what I imagined it was like when you go out and see people who love their cars and hang out. But today in New York, New Jersey, even in Southern California, I've never been to a car meet where everyone hung out together, was friendly, showing the cars, nobody was snobbish about it, and it was casual. I have to ask you this question. I don't see any police here, okay? I see a lot of very nice people hanging out, drinking beers in the parking lot, smoking cigarettes. The police don't come down here and break this up?
No, it's very, very hard that you can find police.
There were no police.
You can do almost everything in the street. You just have to be careful, but this is a paradise.
A flat fine system.
I was told that any speeding ticket, no matter what it is $55.17. Is that true?
Yeah, you have speed tickets from $11 and things like that. So you don't have to worry about that.
I don't understand. If you get a ticket, do you get do you have a point system?
No, we don't have. So don't worry. You can have 1,000 tickets and you will have your license.
Really?
Yeah.
With no real penalties for any bad behavior, absolutely no one was behaving badly. What does this say about the United States?
I never drink and drive. I've never had a DUI. If you drink and drive, what is the penalty?
If you got from the police, you can go to jail maybe 3 days. But then you go out and you don't have any problem.
You don't lose your license.
No.
If I took one of these cars and did a donut over there, how much trouble would I get in?
Maybe the security from the place can say, "Hey, stop," but you won't have any problem.
So explain to may I seem completely naive and ignorant as an American, but why is everyone so well behaved if the penalties for bad behavior are so small?
Maybe
is it just is it cultural?
Yeah, it's a culture. You can go to some place and you will find crazy people, but there's the minority where all the people here are very quiet and very calm. So you can come, you can talk. There's some places that you can make illegal races, which is some places near here, but the people are very good.
It made no sense. I expected Fast and Furious on crack. And I got a bunch of guys who actually thought Fast and Furious was one of the dumbest movies they'd ever seen.
We're here with Alex Cruz, aka Truck, that's with an O, who's going to tell us a little about his car, because according to Jaime, he's the man to talk to. Thanks for letting me talk to you.
Thank you.
Tell me about this car.
Well, I drive a Honda Civic 97. So I'm trying to make the JDM look.
What is this? Explain to me this license plate mount, which is on a reverse angle. What's that about?
You know, because my ear, I don't like to put it in the side because I have the fog lights. So I bought this like a new style. I saw it on the internet. So that's pretty much. And it's funny because sometimes when the cops want to see your license plate,
It's hard to see.
Yeah, they have to.
Yeah, is it legal to have a tow
Yeah.
thing like that?
Yeah,
That's
it is.
legal.
Yeah, it is.
Really?
Yeah.
And is it legal to have 5-point harnesses in your car
Yeah, it
driving on the
is.
street?
Yeah, even you have to use it, so they don't pull over for not use seatbelt.
Are you friends with any police officers?
Yeah, we are.
I'm-
Sometimes when we were at the gas station with the old fellas and
They want to see the mods.
No, we just you know, recollect some money and gave it to the cops.
Bribery money.
Yeah. No, you know, we just gave him
Donation.
like
It's a donation.
$20 from there, so they can let us
Buy them
race.
dinner. I see.
So yeah, they can let us race for more than an hour or something like that.
I feel like I'm the most innocent man in this entire parking lot. So I see that you and your brothers have some of the best modified Subarus I've seen anywhere, not just in El Salvador.
Así que estoy viendo que tú y tus hermanos tienen los 3 mejores Subarus que he visto en cualquier lado, no solamente aquí en el país.
Tell me about your car.
Dime un poco acerca de tu carro.
Bueno, este es año 2005.
Well, this is a Subaru 2005.
Se le ha invertido en el motor especialmente casi $45,000
We have invested in the engine around $45,000.
y llega a 800 caballos.
And it goes around 800 horsepower.
800 horsepower.
Yeah.
That's why you need the Brembos. So we have Ana Flamenco, the girlfriend of Jaime, the other Jaime, don't even ask. We like them both. And you're going to explain to us, you're going to prove to me my theory, which is that the girlfriends of car guys are the same everywhere in the world. Are you enjoying yourself here tonight?
Maybe not enjoying myself, but I'm used to it and I like to accompany everybody go back.
If you had a choice as to where else you could be right now,
I would be here. I'm a different type
if
of
he
girl,
asked
like,
you what you wanted to be doing tonight, what would it be?
be with him, and if he likes this, that's why we do.
That's the difference between girls at car shows in El Salvador and New York, because none of the women I bring to car shows ever want to be just with me. Thank you, Ana Flamenco.
I told you I was different.
Quality of life, El Salvador, way better than expected. Quality of automotive life, of car culture, I think better than the US. More expensive, harder, conditions more difficult. But money, you need to have money, but money doesn't really matter. This parking lot had a STI with $50,000 of modifications of the engine parked next to a Scion. Everyone sitting together. No competition, no snobbery. Track, a $75,000 track prep GTI next to an RSX missing its hood. They were all friends. No snobbery. You know, the love of cars here is not here. It's all here. And with every freedom that we don't have in the U.S. to get away, literally, with murder, no one was. It's awesome.
I want to start off by apologizing to you for everything.
Well, that's good, because I was going to ask you for what the list is so long.
I'm sorry that you went to El Salvador without a cameraman.
That was not a problem.
Well, and I'm also sorry for sending you to such a place without really knowing anything.
Well, let's be clear. I never know anything about anywhere that I ever go. That's part of the shtick. Secondly, the absence of Tom Morningstar, however much, it would have been nice to have one of the best shooters around, Josh Vitsa, the American Chuck Norris, did a great job.
Yeah, and I think that the episode showed it. And I think Live and Let Drive. Let's step back. A year ago, we started being on camera with Road Testament, and as a producer and friend, it's the most difficult thing I've ever had to do is try to find where you fit best and what you do best. Because you on camera, up until this year, was nothing like your real personality. It was very difficult. And I think that Live and Let Drive has...
But you don't think Pulitzer was my real personality?
I think that, Road Testament wasn't your real personality up until the past few months on Live and Let Drive, where people actually see who you are. And that's one of the most difficult things I've ever had to do.
Yeah, by the early hate mail, let me tell you, it was also one of the most difficult things I ever had to do.
Well, you have traveled your whole life,
yes.
Right? And I think that this puts you in your element, because the problem with you is that when you go places, you travel so much that you really don't prepare for much.
Well, I don't even bring clothes.
Yeah, exactly.
But there was a time when I went backpacking all through college.
Yeah.
And I loved it. And the happiest I ever was living in Paris, and I was literally broke, and I didn't no idea what I was ever going to do. You meet much more interesting people that way.
El Salvador. What were your expectations when I said you're going to El Salvador and this is Julia?
Let's just say now that a lot of things were not in the episode that occurred, and including my statement of expectations upon arrival, which is that it would be the 8th most dangerous place in the world. And I knew the history of the death squads, the Civil War, things that had gone on, and I was scared upon arrival.
Why?
It's the 8th most dangerous country in the
No,
world.
but besides that, what did you know about El Salvador?
That's all I knew.
Okay.
And let me say this. I grew up in Manhattan, and lived in the Lower East Side for almost 20 years, and moved to Santa Monica a couple of years ago. And the joke I always tell people about safety, it's like, I feel safer in New York at 4 o'clock in the morning, walking down the street, see a black guy, a Hispanic guy, and an Asian guy. I'm like, where's the after hours party? But in Santa Monica, you see a white guy at 2 in the morning, it's a meth dealer. I felt safer in El Salvador anywhere we went than I feel walking around in LA downtown at 3 in the morning.
Really?
Absolutely.
Really? Well, what was your first experiences when you got there? You actually got sick though, right?
I wasn't sick right away. My first experience was noticing how many guns there were.
Yeah.
And one of the things that was not in the episode was that at the Volkswagen dealership was a guy with a submachine gun who would gently stroll towards people who spent too much time looking at a car. And I tried to enter one of the cars, and he literally was there within 2 seconds, stopping me.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
And not having anything to do with doing anything wrong, just because that's what they're used to. That's what they're accustomed to.
Obviously, there's crime like anywhere else. But go to the New York Auto Show and look at how many shift knobs are stolen.
That's true.
So.
Well, you got to the racetrack on the second episode. What was that like when you saw all those cars beaten up? And most people would assume that this is just a shit show.
Also edited out of the episode is my comment that racing in El Salvador is like going to a lemons race every weekend, which I guess is not really a fair thing to say, because the people there are not taking it as it's not a joke at all.
How would you define the car culture in El Salvador?
A lot more honest than some of the car events I've been to in the States. I mean, the States, 285 million people. Mm-hmm. Like any large country, you're going to have people who are cool and love their cars, and those who buy them as trophies at every price point. In El Salvador, nobody's buying cars as a trophy except for one kid who we won't talk about.
Well, let's talk about what else we didn't see in the first 2 episodes. You actually went out at night to explore the culture, the behind the scenes of what happens with people who actually are car enthusiasts.
Well, they all said the same thing. Don't eat tacos from one particular place if you're going to go driving the next day, which is exactly what I did, and suffered for it horribly. But I will say the bathrooms at the track, Autodromo di Jabali, the bathrooms at the track, cleaner than any bathroom at Laguna Seca.
That may be true. That's
Definitely
probably
true.
an understatement. But tell me about that car culture at night. What was it like going to that car meetup?
Oh, the meeting the last night. You know, one of the funniest things about it is, you know, go to some meets. I've been to some meets in New Jersey, and you have the VW guys here, the Audi guys here. Mm-hmm. Everybody's split up according to make, with some pretty severe, you know, kind of clique divisions between the folks. El Salvador is not that big a country. It's 5 million people. 15,000 cars a year sold, 12,000 used, exchange hands. These kids buy their cars and keep them. And these people, there was no clique competition division. Everybody knew each other and was friends. And it was, without a doubt, the kind of one of the warmest car meets I've ever been to ever. I mean, there wasn't even, nobody was insulting each other even for fun. Where you can't, I mean, you can't go to a garage in New York City with your neighbors that some guy says Mercedes is a piece of shit.
Well, part of our fun is we curse each other out, and I think everyone that we work with.
Because you drive a lawnmower.
Yeah, well, but you didn't see that there. Everyone kind of took care of each other.
Absolutely. I mean, I guess in a smaller place, it pays to be nice. But these, I mean, the warmth and coolness. You know, people say, you know, like any hobby, you know, people are people. You know, interests are international. Most, maybe half the people there had been to Daytona or lived in Southern California. You know, almost everyone spoke English, had seen our shows, read Car and Driver. And so it was more of a transnational crowd than an international crowd because everyone there had been to the events that we go to. I mean, they do what we do. They go on Priceline, get a $300 ticket, go to Daytona.
Before this episode, I did some research and found the analytics for Drive. We've been operational for about 60 days. We've gotten somewhere around 12,000 views, unique views from El Salvador.
Really?
That's insane. When you think about that country, to have that percentage of people watching our content,
high.
That's very high.
Well, going back to what you were saying earlier about finding what my show would be or our show would be, going way back even to Road Testament days, we were getting a lot of traffic, but a very strong majority of our traffic is from outside the U.S.
Yes.
and even outside the UK, non-English speaking countries.
Yes.
You know, and this El Salvador episode, which is probably the most popular we've ever done, made it really clear I want to go to more second and third world countries. You know, anyone can go across the United States, and a lot of people, you know, will. We need to go to more unexpected places. It's more fun for me, and I think a lot more fun for people that we're going to meet.
Alex, you said that the car culture in El Salvador is potentially better than what we find here.
Well, you know, I hate to say better, but you know, I probably have gone to too many meets with supercars and guys polishing their cars. And I haven't gone to enough meets of just, you know, the people, the kind of guy I used to be when I was, you know, saving money to mod like my A4. Because in El Salvador, that's all there is. There isn't a class division within car culture because everyone is kind of in the same boat because of the cost of things. And, you know, but that is the core of it. That's what it is about down there. I mean, like I said, we're a huge country, so of course you're going to get guys who consider cars jewelry. But, you know, a car without a driver is just a brick. Maybe a gilded brick, still just a brick. And, you know, there are not many F40s that see a lot of road time. I know a guy who takes one on a rally every year. That's my guy. Car's got scratches and dents. He loves it, and I love him for it.
The reason this show exists and the reason all these shows exist is because buying a car and owning a car is an emotional decision. And it seems from watching what happened in El Salvador, everything is built off emotion. Would you say that's true? In terms of the racers, the car enthusiasts, it's all built off of a breed.
Well, you know, I'm reading this book by Seth Wright, who's probably the best automotive historian of all time, who was saying quite clear that the Ford Model T is the most important thing to happen, not in automotive history, but in the history of class in the world. Because prior to that, people, working class people, were literally stuck in a 2-mile radius from where they lived and worked, which were very close together. And the fact that one could get beyond 2 miles ever, you know, and see anything was the most important thing that could happen culturally to working class people, which changed the nature of class itself and suddenly made it possible for people to migrate in both directions and buy a car which may even be representative of where they were in life. That doesn't matter to me at all, as much as the fact that you can meet anyone if you have access to a car, even a $500 Craigslist piece of junk. And that's what it's all about.
Next week, we're going to California to finish off season 1. What have you learned from the past episodes that we hope to finish the season off with?
Keep my mouth shut if I send an NDA, because you're doing something really cool.
Yes.
You know, let people, you know, do the talking and talk a little less, because I'm the king of that. And next week we're going to go see an old friend of both of ours who's got something really, really cool. He's going to take it to show us, and I can't wait. I always thought the show would have me driving a car that I own, because of course I think my cars are the best even when they suck. But I really would like to drive other people's cars, however slowly, to learn something.
Cool.
You've heard the famous story of when Chevy released the Nova in Spain, nobody bought it because of what Nova translates to.
No, I don't know what Nova translates to.
Well, I thought it's
Nova.
It doesn't
yeah,
go.
I know. It doesn't go. It doesn't move.
Go.
Yeah, that's true.
Are there any other examples of American cars or any manufacturer releasing a car here with a name that just wouldn't work?
I'll tell you a couple of funny stories, especially with Japanese cars. Like, for instance,
like the Mitsubishi Puta.
La Puta. Yeah, no, I think that was Mazda, La Puta.
No, really?
Which means the whore.
It was really the Mazda La Puta?
La Puta, yeah. But it was the name of a cartoon character, La Puta.
Go on. So
we can wait for them to go by.
How long ago was that when they tried selling that?
No, they never actually tried to sell it here. It was sold only in Japan, but they had also the Nissan, and I drove one. I can actually say I drove a Nissan Moco. Moco is booger.
I see.
Booger. So
you say like the Honda Maricon. Very famous failure.
That was a big fail.
I guess they don't have too many Spanish speakers in Japan.
And then, like in South America, it's widely known that Pajero, which you read Pajero, but Pajero is someone who is a big fan of jacking.
Really?
Yeah.
I see.
Pajero, that is.
Wow.
But
So, what's the Pajero called here?
That's why they changed the name to Montero.
Of course. All right, what's a Montero?
Montero is something from the hills, the forest.
I see.
It's a very tough name as well. Yeah, but Pajero wasn't the happiest of
models.
Yeah.
Interesting. The things you learn. Great stuff. That was really funny. So you have to have 3 or 4 languages between you to have a conversation like that. Yeah. Was it Tiburon? I never knew that. Man, that's really
Tiburon, yeah. Although, like in Europe, I think there's a version called the Tuscany.
Yeah.
Of the Tiburon.
What does that mean?
It only means, it refers to the people from Tuscan area. That's right. Speaking about Tuscan names, I would say the coolest name is TVR Tuscan.
Oh my God, dude, that's one of my favorite cars.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite cars
I love
ever.
TVRs. Have you ever seen one in El Salvador?
No, there isn't any in El Salvador.
I mean, I heard about a guy a few years ago who, if you can bring a car into the U.S. for 1 year, if you're working there, if you have a visa, you can bring your car with you for 1 year, and you have to send it back. And you do not have to have it federalized. You keep it for 1 year, and then it has to leave. And so there was a guy who had brought a Cerbera.
Oh my God!
Fucking such a cool car, but like the 11th month that he had it, was destroyed in an accident.
Oh,
he had it in
how
San Francisco.
sad.
And I found some pictures of the car off the Golden Gate Bridge. The Cerbera for me is just absolutely the coolest TVR. There have been a lot of cool TVRs.
The TVRs are just cool. I'm so sad they're gone.
I know.
The last one, the Sagaris,
Oh yeah.
I think was cool. I liked it.
Not as much as the Tuscan.
No, but the Tuscan was.
R.
Oh, awesome machinery. Hold on.
Tuscan, yes.
Hola. ¿Qué tal, don Gino? Aquí estamos yendo de camino ahorita. Mire, ahorita estamos aquí saliendo de San Salvador porque habíamos dejado una cosa. Tocó regresar, pero ahorita ya vamos de vuelta. Creo que en unos 15, 20 minutos estamos por ahí. Bueno, perfecto, gracias.